upsetting!
Welcome to Warp Legacy.
So today we're going to take 4 pieces of 3/8 square stock and we're going to upset them with 4 different hammers. The goal is to make them a 1/2 inch shorter than they are now. The first one we're going to upset with this hammer. The second one we're going to upset with this hammer. The third one we're going to upset with this hammer. And the fourth one we're going to upset with this ridiculously tiny thing. I don't know if we're going to get to 1/2 inch on this one, but we're going to try. I also want to touch on safety for just a second. Usually when I'm out here doing it in the shop, I have my headphones in, and those are basically like earplugs. But I lost my Bluetooth headphones, so last time I came out here, I didn't have any hearing protection, and I really noticed it. Even if you have some regular hearing protection that you use in your shop every day, go out and buy something like this to just leave in your shop so you have them. Because if you have them, easily accessible, you will use them. If you don't have them, you won't use them. Even if this was like in the house or something like that, it's less likely that I'm going to go use them once I actually get out here. So go get a package of something that you can leave in your shop that you can just grab and throw away if necessary. So I made a mark here. I'm going to upset this until it doesn't stick out anymore. And then I'm going to be done with that bar and then I'm going to start on the next one. Also the first time I'll be smithing in my kilt! Welcome back to the office. Sorry you can't see me, or you're welcome you can't see me, one or the other. Anyway, these are the 4 we got. This is the big one. This is the 3-pound cross peen. This is the bigger of the 2 ball peens, and this is the little tiny ball peen. So this one I kind of have to take out of this whole thing because I messed up when I was upsetting it, and I upset it from this end and from this end. So it's not consistent because on all of these ones, this end was always on the anvil and this end was always getting hit by the hammer, and there was no change in that. But this one I upset from both ends. We can still learn a little bit, just not as much as I had hoped. So we'll look at this one first, even though it's the one I screwed up. This end actually thickened up more, but it doesn't have like a big flare at the end at all. It gradually gets thicker from the center to here. So when that huge hammer hit it, it transferred the energy all the way through this thing, and it compressed pretty much the whole bar at the same time and at the same rate because there was a lot of energy to be transferred. This one was that 3-pound crossbeam hammer, and you can see it flares out a little bit more than the other one, because the other one really didn't flare. It was way deep down to here, and this one kind of flares out to here. It looks like it flares out from there, but it doesn't. That's just a bend, so it makes it look weird. The flare actually comes down to about here, but it is flared a little bit on this end. This one is the larger of the 2 ball peen hammers. It's obvious the end of this one flares. From about here up, it flares out, and it just gets thicker. And again, that's because with the smaller hammer, it hits and the energy is transferred, and by the time the energy gets down to here, it's pretty much all dissipated into the material. And that's why this first one, the whole bar thickened up pretty much the same, and as we get to lighter and lighter hammers, the flare at the top is bigger. Because the lighter the hammer, the less momentum, the less energy is transferred from the hammer to the piece of steel that you're working. So that's why this one has such a drastic flare, is because the energy only transfers in a very short distance. So most of the movement is all up here. Now you can use this to your advantage when you're doing things like I did here, on the axe that I made for Hearts Alive and Free. Here I was trying to make a hammer, and I wanted this to be expanded. And I did two things when I was doing this. One is I localized my heat to this area. And the other thing I did was use a smaller hammer. When I was upsetting this end, I used the larger of the two ball peen hammers. So I used the one that I did for this one. And since that was localized and I was using the lighter hammer, not my 3-pound and not my sledge, then this expanded here because the energy didn't transfer in as deep. And while I do have to kind of throw this one out, I did hit this end more than I hit this end, which is interesting because this end flared more than this end, which is weird. Even though it's not like a deep flare, it's a flare from like here coming out. As I was editing this video, I had a bit of a revelation as to why the side on the anvil might have expanded more than the side with the hammer, with my large hammer one. Because with this, I'm using a very heavy hammer, so there's a lot of energy passing through it. So it's possible that all that energy passed right through the bar into the anvil rebounded that energy and then passed it back up. So that might be why. So it's possible that the side in the anvil almost had the energy of being hit twice. I may be crazy. I am crazy, but I may be completely off base with this, but that's what came to mind. I also know this is the one I messed up and I did upset from both ends, but this side that's wider down here is the one that was on the anvil more than this side. If you have any idea, let me know what you think. What's interesting is if you take a look at this top, each one gets bigger. So if you're moving a big piece of steel and you're wanting the entire piece of steel to compress, that's why that is so often done on a power hammer, because it has more momentum and more energy to transfer into this piece. That's also why this type of thing is often done with a striker. The bigger the steel, the bigger the hammer you need to move the entire piece of steel and not just move the top little bit. Well, I think that was a fun little experiment, and I learned a little bit. It basically came out like I expected, but I thought it was interesting that the bottom flared out a little bit too, and it didn't seem to matter what size the hammer was. The bottom all flared out about the same. I just thought that was interesting, and I'm not really sure what to make of that one or why that one's happening. If you know, let me know in the comments. Now, I've got a few other experimental videos like this that I would like to do. Let me know what you think of this one. Do you want more of this type of video? Where I'm doing something where I'm not actually making something, I'm just experimenting with pieces of metal, seeing what happens when I do different things? I have fun with it, and I think we can all learn from it. But I want to know what you have to say about it, so let me know. And smithing in the kilt was great. I am so glad I made that thing. That is going to help me out so much this summer. I still don't really want to experience how hot it's actually going to be in the middle of summer, though. And our subscriber count is going up. Last I looked, we were at 81 subscribers. When we get to 100, this is going away, and something better is coming. So if you haven't done it, share this with your friends. Anybody that you think would find this interesting or funny or entertaining or even educational. Get this out there and let people see it. Because the more people see it, the more support I get, the bigger projects I can do. And generally, the bigger the project, the more entertaining the video. Thank you for visiting Warped Legacy. If you like this video, hit that like button and let me know in the comments. And if you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell if you want to get notifications. And if you really like what we're doing, head on over to our Patreon page and show some support there. I haven't set it up yet, but when I get a few patrons, I'm going to do a Patreon giveaway. And it's going to be something good. I'm going to make something like this or something like that machete and randomly pick one of my patrons. But you can only get it if you're a patron. Or you can click up in the corner and get a t-shirt. And if you use the promo code LEGACY, you'll get free shipping in the US. But that's only good till Monday. And after Monday, the shirts are going away. And I don't know if or when these shirts are coming back. Well, that's all I've got for this video. Until next time, I'm Twan. Go define your legacy.